Hello, lovely people. Long time no see. How are you all? How have you all been? I hope you've been really good. Not good as in well behaved, good as in happy, healthy. Be really badly behaved. Yay for being naughty. I've been okay. Usual aches and pains. And a couple of new ones, but otherwise I have been really well and just quietly getting on with things. Where's my water? So, yay, I'm back. A few things might be slightly different. We'll come on to that in a second. But first of all, I'm just going to address this little bit of time away from social media. A few folk said, oh, enjoy your holiday. Where are you going? No, I haven't been on holiday. Oh, I wish. It's suddenly got quite cold, and a really good girlfriend of mine, she's kind of developing a second career. She's amazing as a botanical artist, botanical illustrations. I cannot believe how good she is. I mean, I can believe it because she's very hardworking, very disciplined, but it's such a change from her life working in the city. When we first met, we were, 22, we house shared together. I've talked about her before, but yeah, she worked in the city, and I always thought, oh, she's got such a grown-up, straight job, working in that world of finance and policy and but she always had this sort of creative a creative part of her. Anyway, she's been developing it, and she's been doing a course. Sorry, my mind wandered for a second, then I was thinking of her images. Anyway, the reason I was mentioning her is because she's just been on a painting retreat in Greece. I think it was like the end of September, perfect time to be in Greece when the fierceness of the heat has gone, but it's still so beautifully warm for a bit of yoga on the beach, a morning, a nighttime swim. Anyway, so yeah, no, I haven't been on holiday. I wish. What else haven't I done? I didn't elope. Someone asked me if I was eloping. I didn't move house. Moving house is not going to happen in the space of 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's a long process. And also, that's not something I'm going to be able to keep secret because I'm going to be really excited about it. There's going to be all sorts that I need to do to the flat before I do move. It's not something that's going to happen till at the earliest next spring. So no, I didn't move house. What else didn't I do? Oh, someone asked me if I was taking time out. Are you ill? Are you having tests? No, that wasn't the reason. Although there have been a couple of things have come up whilst I've been off. One of them, my Achilles. I've absolutely knackered my Achilles. I managed to see a doctor face to face. Yay! We're back to face after nearly getting on for 3 years. And he asked me what I'd done, like what accident had I had, and I haven't had any accidents, no trip fall, whatever, but we think it's because my gait is now so off because of limping that my Achilles has it's sort of pulled to one side and then inflamed itself. So I'm under strict instructions of the minimum of 2 weeks of no walking, stay off your feet, preferably 4 weeks. I just thought, that ain't gonna happen because it's harvest time. So I am trying to rest it as much as possible. More on harvests in a minute. But yeah, look, this little bit of time out I had, like at the time, I didn't know it was going to go on for this long. There's part of me that's like, oh, I want it to go on for 6 months. Although I do miss you. I've missed filming, I've missed talking to you, but it's been a real kind of breathing space. And at the time when I said I'm going to go offline for a few days, and I did say it's nothing to worry about, there's no drama here, it's nothing untoward, but despite me saying that, I've had quite a lot of messages of people kind of like, oh, is there something dramatic going on? No, I don't do drama. But yeah, it was quite simple, kind of simple and incredibly complex. I had too much on my plate. That was one thing. I was getting in a tizzy about media in general, both social media and sort of mainstream media. Just quite a lot of, and I don't really want to dwell on it, but quite a lot of sort of argy-bargy, negativity, people being righteously indignant about really, really stupid, pathetic things that you don't need to be indignant about, what have you. I thought, I can't do this world anymore. I want to, quite simply, I wanted to shut the front door, turn everything off and hide, just be me in my little bubble. But also, a lot of it was to do with time and time pressures. It's something I've talked about quite a lot, I realise, in the last 5.5 years. You know, people will say things like, oh, you should write a book. I don't have time. Oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should do the other. I don't have time. And as I've said in the past, I never lack for creative ideas. I always lack for time. And yeah, just before I went offline, I was getting in a right tizzy in terms of time. And really simple things like time to relax properly, time to go to bed and sleep for more than 2 or 3 hours at a time, time to sit and do nothing, time to just sit and be and let my thoughts do what they want to do, time to do yoga as a form of physiotherapy. And yeah, it was just, I got my knickers in a twist. I thought, right, that's it. Something's got to give. Now, obviously, YouTube is a really important part of my income. It's what pays my bills. So taking time out that's quite a scary thing to do. However, I have been saving for the move, and I thought, you know what, use a couple of £100 from that to give yourself this time off, to get everything else sorted, to get your life straight. I mean, it's not ever going to be straight. My life's never going to be straight. But use a little bit of that money, take the pressure off yourself, step away from social media, because it does take, I clocked it in the last couple of weeks before I went offline, it was stretching to more than 40 hours a week. Now, a lot of people are going to think, well, that's what everyone does with their job. Surely you can fit in, you know, your cooking and your laundry and your relaxation time. Yeah, that's not all I do. Then there's the garden on. Anyway, I won't go on about it. But it was the one area where I thought, okay, I can drop that for a moment, just put that plate down, stop trying to keep spinning it, whilst I focus on other stuff. By the way, just I've got my little crochet over my knees because it has gone cold and I'm trying not to turn the heating on. Yes, so it was a bit of time out to do some reflecting, to do some thinking, to do some planning, to do some more planning for the future, as in long term, like, you know, 5 years and that sort of thing, but also in the immediate. I haven't, like I said, it wasn't a holiday, I wasn't sitting doing nothing. I'll catch up on some of the things I've been doing. But one of the main things, and I talked to a girlfriend about this, and then I talked to another couple of friends about this, and it's something some of you have mentioned to me in the past as well, of saying, drop this ball, Vivi, it's too much. So now that I'm back, one of the little changes will be that, oh, and I hate this, I kind of hate it, but I know I have to make this change. I'm not going to be answering all comments anymore, or all messages and all emails. The wonderful thing, the truly amazing and wonderful, and what I'm incredibly grateful for thing, is that over the last 5.5 years, the channel has grown, Facebook has grown, the website, shop, everything has grown. And everything now is in a state that if it carries on like this is great. This is really now working for me in terms of it supporting me, in terms of it keeping me active up here as well. I enjoy everything. I love all those different aspects of all the things I do in my life. Brilliant. And I'm grateful to all of you because it's you that have made it happen. It's brilliant. But of course, with the growth and everything, there are more comments, there are more messages, there are more emails appearing. And one of the things I wanted to do when I started the channel was to make it feel like it was, personal, and that we're friends, and it's two-way traffic. And part of that was for me to answer literally every single comment. Now, if someone's comment is a simple thumbs up, that's dead easy and quick. I write, thank you, and I mean it. But especially, I think in the last couple of years, I've noticed it. Comments are getting longer and longer and longer. And it's great. Please don't stop that. Please don't stop that. But sometimes it can take me 5 minutes to properly read a comment and digest everything that's in there. And then I think about how I want to reply. Because often, someone is telling me something difficult. And I'm not going to honour that by just kind of going, thank you. It takes time and thought, and then my reply. Look, the bottom line is it's got to the stage where there have been days when I'm up till gone midnight trying to reply to everybody. And it's not feasible. It's simply not feasible anymore. And I feel bad about that. On the one hand, I feel bad about it because I know people want to connect, and I want to connect too. And there's a part of me, it's part of my OCD, I'm a bit of a completionist. So it's like I have to do everything. But yeah, it's not feasible. I have to be sensible. And, I know that the majority of you are going to be completely okay with that. I know there's been folk in the past have said, stop it, Vivi, ages ago, it's too much. So yeah, that's very simple. A simple little change you'll notice. I will still answer, I will still answer some folk, and some of the private messages I get on Facebook. Some of them need answering, especially if someone's struggling to get something from the shop, the website's not working, whatever. Of course, I'm going to answer that. It's my livelihood. But yeah, I hope everyone's going to be okay with that. Otherwise, what has been going on? So the garden has been carrying on in full swing. I've done a couple of bits of videoing during this time off, so we'll have those in the coming days. Just mainly it's been about harvesting, processing. About every sort of 2-3 days or so, I've been coming home with a granny trolley full of tomatoes. The tomatoes have been so prolific this year. So yeah, come home with a trolley full and then spend hours in the kitchen getting everything washed and chopped and prepped and into the freezer. Really, really grateful for the tomato harvest this year. Bean harvesting, lots of lovely evenings spent listening to something whilst quietly podding. That's always a joy, isn't it? Bit of general sort of maintenance in the garden. I'm trying to think what I've done in the last month. It's whizzed by, I can tell you that much. It has whizzed by. I've suddenly gone blank. What have I done in all this time? Well, I've done, like I said, I've done quite a lot of thinking, and as I was mentioning with chats with friends, part of the I jumped, didn't I? But part of that chatting was about how can I manage my time better in order to allow me time for, fundamentally, the bottom line of it all was the way things were going, it's not sustainable for both my physical or mental health. What can I change? How can I keep doing the things I love doing, but them to have a bit more time at the end of the day to relax? So this is something I have done over the last month. Again, it's something I've talked about before, about sleep. This thing that disappears, I don't seem to be able to get hold of. The whole morning owl, that doesn't make sense. Morning lark, night owl, is it possible to change? And I was talking about the need to change because as we go into winter, or actually not so much winter, but autumn and spring, in terms of the light, making the most of the light each day, be it for being in the garden or at home, whether I'm sewing or photographing things, I need light. So if the light's going to disappear at sort of 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm not starting my day until 12, or like not getting to the garden till 12, it's too short. So I need to start my day a bit earlier to make the most of the morning light. And very simply, one of the things I've done, I'm having to be so disciplined about it, but I'm getting there, I'm doing it, is setting myself a really strict go to bed time and get up time. So I've pulled back my going to bed time from, sometimes it was 2, 3 in the morning. My alarm would go off at 7, I'd whack it and press the snooze button over and over and maybe get up at 8, and it's a real struggle. So the alarm is still set for 7, but there's no pressing the snooze button. Get out of bed, no matter how I feel, get out of bed and get going. But I've also brought back go to bed time earlier. So it's now set at the absolute latest is midnight. But one of the things about being offline, and honestly, I did miss it. I missed you, and I'm glad to be back. Let's see how it goes. Let's see if I can stick to my own sort of new schedule, as it were. But by being offline, my computer's been pretty much off. I still turn it on in the morning, very briefly. I'll tell you about the sleep and then the computer, because I'm a bit all over. You know what? It would have been better if we'd all just got together today and gone down to the pub, just chat, la. It's like whenever I see a friend I haven't seen for a while, particularly if I go and see Richard and Paul, we'll talk non-stop for 10 hours and then think, what did we talk about? All around the houses, get to the point, but we do. So because there's no computer on, that's no distraction. I'm not getting is it called blue screen light? I think they call it blue screen light, don't they? And I've always tried to do that thing of turn it off and then do something else for 2 hours. But I wasn't turning the computer off until midnight, 1 o'clock sometimes. Then, once it's turned off, then read, or I hadn't been reading over the summer, maybe watch some old reruns of QI. Just watch some rubbish telly in the middle of the night. So, no computer, no blue light, I think that's helping. But generally speaking, any screens or noise, whether I'm watching a DVD, if I've got the radio on, whatever it is, I turn all noise, anything that's making noise gets shut off by 10 o'clock at the latest. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, it doesn't matter, if there's something on I really want to watch, nope, turn everything off, 10 o'clock on the dot. And then usually I'll go to bed at 10 and read. Can't wait to tell you about what I've been reading. Read till midnight. There've been a couple of nights where I've read till 11, and at 11 I've thought, yeah, I'm done now. Turn the light off. And going pretty much straight to sleep. Revelation. I'm still waking up quite a few times in the night, but for the most part, between 12 midnight and 7 a.m, I'm in bed and getting some rest. And really importantly, those couple of hours before I go to bed, it's total silence, quiet time. Occasionally, I've turned all the noise off and just sat for 15, 20 minutes. Sitting with no noise and not doing anything for 15 or 20 minutes feels like ages. It absolutely feels like ages. It's delicious. I've loved it. But like I said, it will be interesting to see how these new little habits and structures to my day, will I be able to keep going with them, keep them in place now that I've come back to social media? We'll see. I certainly aim to try to do that. Does that make sense? That was a bit tautological, wasn't it? Like I was saying, it has taken discipline. There have been a couple of times when I've seen, something's on that I want to watch, and I've just said, no, don't do it. But I think it's working. That's the bottom line. I think it's working. It's not so much, it's working in two ways. I think one, in terms of getting up in the morning, still struggling. I mean, I'm just not a morning person, but let's say it takes me 2 hours in the morning to really warm up and be ready for my day. That means that I'm ready for my day at 9 o'clock now. I'm out of the door, I'm off, I'm doing my stuff. Great. Whereas if I was getting up at 8, half 8, 2 hours later, we're talking about 10, half 10, losing the light. I'm losing a chunk of that light. So it's definitely working from that point of view. Also, I think the last couple of nights I've only woken up twice each night, which is amazing for me, because I'd normally wake up 7 or 8 times every night, which is exhausting. It's really, really bad. That kind of disrupted sleep is so bad on us physically. It's like a permanent release of hormone not adrenaline, is it cortisol? But it's just so bad for us physically, but also mentally. You know, I don't mean mental health as in, although that happens a bit too. I just mean in terms of, cognitive function. It's really bad. So I'm chuffed. That was one of the things I really, really wanted to address when I had my chunk of time off. That seems to be going really well. Let's hope it stays so. What I was saying about the computer and, the whole, I'm sure it's called blue screen light, isn't it? Phones, computers, that sort of thing. It used to be that I'd get up in the morning, and because it takes me so long to get going, one of the things I would do is for the first couple of hours of the morning, I'd be on the computer, let my body wake up, and in the meantime I can be doing stuff on the computer, answering comments, answering messages, what have you, but all, other stuff too. But that couple of hour chunk in the morning, it was kind of stretching to 3-4 hours sometimes. And then again, I will have another session in the evening, usually about 8 o'clock, maybe after I've eaten, or if I've finished other work, if I've finished in the garden, finished editing, I think, right, I'll go on again at 8. And that was stretching till sort of midnight and beyond. Now, it's been really easy. So although I've been offline in terms of social media, I've still turned the computer on probably most days. One of the things I do is I check my bank accounts. Remember when I had the 2 accounts, I had 2 cards scammed, but because I check every day, I could see instantly that had happened, get it rectified straight away. So I do that. Obviously, I still check my emails because I have personal stuff that I need to check. It's not all about, YouTube and La La Land. I've had a couple of shop orders, thank you, people ordering from the shop. Got some lovely new books to get in there. But I am finding that I can now do that morning computer session. It depends what emails come in, obviously, because some of them take a little bit of time to respond to, or it might be that, yeah, you know what I mean? Sometimes you open your emails and you can just go delete, 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 because it's kind of junky stuff. Sometimes it takes longer because it's my sister sending me property details. She's obsessed. She sends me property details of really lovely properties that I can't buy at the moment because I'm not ready to move. Anyway, the point is that morning session on the computer is sometimes 15 minutes. It's like, oh, there is life outside. There is life outside of the computer. Yay! Now I know that's going to increase. That will increase, of course. But I'm not going to let it increase to, 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours at night. It's not, it's daft. It's not doable. Please, please, please don't anyone be offended if you send a message and you don't get a reply. I will read everything still, and I love to read what folk are saying. But if you don't get a response, please don't be grumpy. There's only me here. Because that was something else I thought about. This is how crazy things had got, and this is why one of the reasons I needed a break. Just thinking, right, if I do this, if I do, trying to work out how on earth can I have time for other stuff. I was even thinking maybe I could hire a PA, or, maybe I could hire someone for just a couple of hours a week to reply to all my correspondence. I was like, that's stupid. I'm not going to pay someone. Probably pay them for their 1 hour would probably be what I earn in a full day. So no, that wasn't doable. I just thought of something else I wanted to mention then, but it's completely gone out of my brain. Can I remember it? She's back. Yes, I've just remembered it. Something that has been on my mind for a long, 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 long time. I mean, actually for years and years, but more so over the last year to 2 years, is this thing about writing. Because I love to write. I really, really love to write. And before I was doing YouTube on my website, that was all I did, was write. It was blogs. And you always gave me a really, really, really lovely reception. Folks seem to enjoy my writing, and over the years people have said, you should write a book, and I was like, I don't have time. And that was one of the things that was really bugging me, was I want to somehow make time to do some of the other things I enjoy, reading and writing. Now reading, I was going to talk about some books today, but I think I'm looking at the clock. I'm talking too much. We'll do books another day, because I started the winter reading. I loathe winter. You all know that. I loathe it with a passion. I can't bear the darkness. I can't bear being indoors. I'm an outdoors girl. I want the air. I want sunshine. I want warmth. I want breezes. But one of the ways that I do cope with winter is, or at least the prospect of winter coming, is I remind myself that winter is the time when I read. I hardly read. From March to October, I hardly read at all, just because the work of the garden gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and in the autumn the processing and dealing with the harvests, which is great. But yeah, that's my treat from sort of usually about middle of October through to about the middle of March. It's reading time. This is the season for reading. Oh, hallelujah. And I've started early this year. I started reading in mid-September. And some absolute blinders, which I can't wait to share with you. I've lost my thought again. Writing, yes. So writing has been on my mind for quite a while. And you may remember, you see, this is the thing with me. I'm going to come back to the point in a second, don't worry. One of the things I'm quite good at planning. well, you'd think, no, you're not, Vivi, because you always run out of time. No, I am quite good at planning because I do manage to pack a lot into my day, into my life. But one of the things I'm always happy to do, it's something that doesn't scare me at all, I love it, is I kind of look in much longer terms, a year, 2 years, 5 years, and say to myself, honestly, what do you want to be doing? How do you want to be doing it? Is there anything else you want to be doing? Is there something you want to drop doing? It was last Christmas, New Year's, when I spent some time with the chaps, and I got all sorts of thoughts going on. They're really, really good friends in this respect, because they're just a great sounding board. They let me just go, let me get it out. And then they'll kind of put it back to me. I'm like, oh, they help me to solidify my thoughts. And it was at New Year's I started the Instagram page, because that's a long-term thing of some changes I want to make, sort of 2-3 years down the line. And the thing about making a change in 3 years' time, it's not a case of, oh, just make the change now. No, you have to kind of prepare for it. It's like I've often talked about going wage-free. Don't just walk out of your job tomorrow and go, oh, right, now I'll live wage-free. You need to plan things. You need to start putting things in place in order to grow that thing, so that if this is the new life you want is down here, and this is your current life, and you want to reduce that and increase this, well, rather than going, I'm just going to stop doing all that, and suddenly it's like there's no life. So it's like, start reducing that and start increasing this, and at some point hopefully this takes over. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So the thing about wanting and needing more time, because there are things I want to bring in, that 5 year plan. So I'm at this place at the moment, and the 5 year plan, it's nudging. You won't see any change in this yet, but that's nudging. And one of those things is to do with writing. I'm getting there. I'm excited to see you all again. And it's one of these kind of real, I love these moments in life, crossover serendipity things. So part of taking this time off as well was one of the ideas was to see if I could carve out some regular time to start writing again. That hasn't happened. I've done a little bit. I've got a little scrap there that I want to flesh out. That's okay. It's okay. It's more about the idea is there. The idea of I need more time for this. I'm starting to do something about that. And over the coming months, I'll do more and more about that until I'm at the stage where I can be writing. But here's the serendipitous thing about it. As you know, my lovely friend Paul has been writing his piece for the Guernsey Press, a once a month piece, which is it's always a really lovely reflective piece. If I can get a link, I'll put it under here. But it's about him as a gardener now, and how that's been informed by what he learnt as a child growing up on the island of Guernsey. What he learnt from his father, uncles, the other people of the island, and how that is, how it's informed him as the gardener now. So his pieces are very much about what he's doing right now in his garden. So the piece is called A Guernsey Gardener in London. So he talks about what he's doing in his garden now, and it invariably opens up the door to a memory of a time on Guernsey when he was younger. They're really beautiful. It's exactly the kind of writing I like. So he's been doing this every month this year. And it really inspires me, because every time I read one, I think, Vivi, you should be doing this too. Not like copying Paul, but you should be giving yourself the space to do your writing. And that's been gathering momentum all year. And just about, and it was like Paul was the final straw in my decision to go offline for a while. We were speaking. I can remember all the dates because it was the day before the Queen died. And I think, did I go offline the day after? Or was it the week after? Anyway, he was going to do an evening writing class, seminar thing. And it went really, really well for him. I read his piece, beautiful. That's opened up a whole nother avenue for him, another door. It's just wonderful, this moment that he grasped to say, I'm going to go and do that night school thing, that night, one evening. I'm going to grasp that, I'm going to take this opportunity, I'm going to run with it. And it is already expanding. It's fantastic. I'm so proud of him. I'm going to get emotional. I'm really happy for him. And I'm really blimmin' inspired by him. So when I caught up with them last time, we were talking about writing a lot, the pair of us. And at the same time, my sister messaged me to say, because I had it somewhere, she found it of her own. My sister, as a child, as a young person, was the most beautiful writer. She wrote a poem when she was about 9 or 10, which was amazing. You would never have thought it had come from a child. God, it's just incredibly moving. Anyway, so I've always thought, my sister's great from that point of view. She's never really tapped into it. I think, look, work, life, being a mum, all those kind of things. But she messaged me to say, had I got this piece of writing, she said, I'm doing a creative writing course just this week. I can't find it. So, oh my goodness, my sister's doing a creative writing course. Paul's done his creative writing that one particular evening. I'm not going to say any more about what Paul's up to because that's for him to tell you all. But so it's like, these inspiring people, this kind of moment, this kind of collective moment of here's me thinking, I really need to make time for this. And these two really important people in my life are making time for it and are getting something from it. Yes. Right, that's it. I'm going offline. Stuff YouTube. I'm a writer now. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's been that's been one of the joys of this, I suppose, quiet time, if you like. How to describe it in a nutshell? Just, quiet time. A lot of time. I mean, I see friends, I chat to friends, I see people, I chat. But essentially, this has been a really, really quiet time. This has been time for, I've been busy, I've been really, really busy. And like I said a few minutes ago, can't remember what I've done. But I've been really busy, but it's been quiet. And so even in my busyness, there are some jobs like, when you're chopping tomatoes, I don't need to think about what I'm doing. I mean, I need to watch what I'm doing because I'm really clumsy. But there have been so many moments for me to just expand everything that's been in here, that's been screaming to get out for ages. And a really fab thing, and this is going to help, I'm sure, as well, is when I was with the guys, I was saying that I always have a notebook and pen with me. Always. I'll write on a bus, I'll write in the garden, whenever the thought takes me. But there have been times where my thoughts are coming much quicker than I can write. And I was saying what I could really do with is a dictaphone. That would be great. They had a spare one. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. So they've given me their spare dictaphone. I know. I love all the jokes. So, no excuses. Exciting times. Quiet, exciting times. I think sometimes we all need to just drop out for a while, don't we? In a way, it would be wonderful to come back after a few weeks away and be like, ta-da, I'm completely different. I have a different hairdo. I've lost 17 stone. I've got a tattoo. I've moved house. Everything's different. But that's not life, is it? Things, big changes don't happen in a month. but the foundations for big changes can happen in a month. I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm knackered, I'm still knackered, I'm always knackered, but hopefully, the whole sleep thing is going to be, the whole sleep thing is going to put me straight. It's going to get better. I think for now I need to shut up, don't I? Because I've been yapping on for ages. I didn't even start in on this pile of books and some stories around books and memories around books. It won't just be book review, but I am going to talk about 1, 2, 3. There's 4 books in this pile. There's 3 books in that pile. Oh, I've been gobbling them up like a greedy little bookworm. Nom, 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 nom. Loving it. All right, lovelies. Well, on that note, greedy, gobbly bookworm note, I will love you and leave you. Thank you so much for those of you that were patient enough to wait for me to come back and didn't. I had a couple of people say, oh, bye, I'm really sad you're leaving, and unsubscribed. I always think I'm quite clear with my words, but every now and again I think maybe I'm not. Maybe I need to print things out at the bottom of the screen to be really clear. I'm not leaving, just taking a little break, having some quiet time. Glorious. But I'm back now, and I'm ready to start chatting again. All right, lovelies, until next time, please look after yourselves, stay well, stay happy. I will see you, I think, for the next one. Let's go back in time a little bit to a couple of weeks ago in the garden. Yeah, we'll reconvene in the garden. Until then, cheerio.